Welcome to part 9A of the fantasy version walkthrough. We just defeated the advisor, so now it's our turn to escape out of Umber Castle. And what it'll do is it'll actually escape right outside the entrance. And we see the Dark Corviknight from earlier, and it very nicely gives us the advisor key. It nicked it off the advisor. It flies off, and now we go back to the sort of start of the Queen's Road because we've just gone and healed. And we make our way to the next point of the storyline. We're going to find a gate, not that one, although you can go through that one if you want. But there's another gate, and it's up here, and you just use the newly obtained advisor key to open the gate. And so that's what we've managed to do, and we're now in the sort of big part of Queen's Road, the sort of main part, if you will. So the first person we're going to fight these are all rematches except for the last one. So the first one we'll fight is the Grand Wizard. So his team is fairly decent, but it depends what your team is and all the rest of it. So it starts with Double. This Double is potentially pretty lethal if you don't take care of it quickly enough. We decided to lead with the Charm, and also because Hattie's quite bulky as well. It then uses Cotton Guard. Now, Cotton Guard, you might think, oh, it's fine, it's magic attacker. No. It has Body Press, which can absolutely cripple if it hits hard enough. So what we decided to do, one of the strategies, I thought we could get Crowbar out and use Haze, but then that would also reduce the attack. That would also increase the attack that we've just reduced by Hattie. So instead we just decided to use Hattie to knock it out instead, which we managed to get on with. Switches to Alakazam, which is the potential to be very difficult because it's very fast and has high magic attack. But Bird, of course, bulky as always, manages to resend him out. Goes with a Home Claws with the view to use a pretty strong Power Trip, which we do. It doesn't quite knock it out. In fact, it's extremely close. And we assume it's going to heal, which it doesn't, and just uses Psychic instead. So then we use a second Power Trip and knock it out, which is good news. So that's 2 down, 3 to go. We then decide to learn Confuse Ray based on the fact that it's far more accurate, despite the fact that it has a few less PP than Supersonic, but Confuse Ray is obviously far superior. And for us next, we've not got a good ground type, but so we're just going to basically have to go for a type that we think resists it the most. At this point I learned it had Dragon Pulse, which I was not dissuaded. I go for the Outrage. It doesn't even hit half, at which point it uses Dragon Pulse and nearly knocks us out. Goes for Thunderbolt and actually does knock us out. I think it was because it's more accurate or something. Switch to Dog. I don't know what basis that. I think we just thought it was a fairly decent Pokemon that wasn't weak to any of its attacks. So that's what we did. We started Flamethrower, biting it, hoping for a flinch. Thunderbolt knocks it down quite a fair amount. Flamethrower almost knocks it out, but not quite. And Thunderbolt gets Dog fainted. We think, oh, okay, we'll just use Bat for the speed. And that was the approach we took. Air Cutter. Ampharos goes down. So then that's 3. Next sends Roserade. We're quite good against grass types, our team in general. We could stick with Bat and just use Air Cutter. Lilypad wouldn't be ideal. Bird would because it's got Brave Bird, but it's a bit low on health, so I think at this point we're trying to work out what to do. We decided to stick with Bat and go with the Air Cutter combination. It doesn't hit a lot because I think Roserade's quite bulky on the magic defense, and it goes for Sludge Bomb, but luckily Bat resists pretty much all of its attacks. Roserade can't do much, and every time it uses Leaf Storm, of course, it just gets weaker and weaker, although it does have the White Herb, so the first time it doesn't get weaker, but every subsequent time it does get weaker. We just keep Air Cuttering it. Unfortunately, yes, it does have Sleep Powder, but if you've got an Awakening, or you could just wait a few turns, or if you've got a Pokemon that's bulky, it's not much of a huge issue in that regard. So that's what we just kept doing. We basically used this as an opportunity to heal our team because it was hitting hardly anything, and we knew it wouldn't, cripple our team. So we just used this opportunity to be, one of those trainers that just constantly heals the Pokemon whenever there's a gap in the battle, which is basically what we did. So now it's hitting almost nothing. So I think we decide that now might be a good time to act and eventually go for... No, we don't. We firstly heal the paralysis of Hatteran, but the trainer clocked on at this point, the Grand Wizard, and switches to Ribombee instead. We're not worried by that either, because it's basically only got Fairy and Bug moves, which Bat also resists really, really well. As you can see, even a Moonblast barely cripples it at all, and it's also weak to flying, so we basically wait for the sleep to wear off, and in the hopes of using Air Cutter to deal a decent amount of damage. It doesn't even deal half, but we are a few levels under, and Bat's special attack is not massively a massive thing to be proud of, but nonetheless we go for it anyway. It just dropped our magic attack, so then we go for a physical cross poison, which crits, and actually is super effective. I thought it would be neutral, but that's because I got the bug and poison thing wrong. Goes for Roserade again, because that's his last one. We go then for the Air Cutter. His stats have gone back again though, so all of those Leaf Storms have, if they've not dropped the stats high enough, but it doesn't really matter. We just go for the Air Cutter. We just go for it, and it keeps losing Leaf Storm again, keeps dropping its own stats again, and eventually it finally goes down. Pretty bulky, but not very offensive if you've got the right Pokemon. So beat the Grand Wizard, and that's that done. Now, in between battles, I basically went and healed, so I've not shown the footage of that. But what I'm showing you is how to walk from one to the other, just to make it a bit easier to show navigation in this video and in the next one. So the next trainer that we will fight is Amila. She is it's just like all of these trainers. If you've got the right Pokemon, she's fairly easy. Otherwise, could be a bit of a challenge. Sends out Bat first against Shinotic. Poison, Kebia Berry, just like the first time we battled her. But we managed to do that. It's not much of a threat. It uses Haze for some reason. Faints. And we managed, that's one down. Tyrantrum. This one was more difficult than I thought it would be. I thought this one would be quite easy and a bit of a pushover, but it was actually the opposite. Now, what's important to say is that if you picked Tyrant in Ice Mountain, if you picked the Jaw Fossil, it'll have Aurorus. She'll have Aurorus instead, but because we picked the Sail Fossil, she has Tyrantrum. So that's important to note. We go for Hattie because we think that a fairy type move might do a lot, and we were lucky enough for it to go for Outrage, but then it went for Head Smash and knocked us clean out, which is obviously annoying. We then go for the sort of mentality of, battle outspeed it, but then we think that it's going to heal, so instead we go for Bird with its defences and its ability to use Steel Wing to dole out super effective damage. Nonetheless, it had Outrage. It was locked into Outrage anyway, so we figured that Bird would definitely be the best choice. Ninetales left next, so we thought, Dragon will resist both of its sort of attacks. Solar Beam, Flamethrower, also carries Nasty Plot and Toxic. So I think it went for the Nasty Plot because it didn't think it would hit enough, which is probably right. Super effective Rock Slide. I think we were thinking about accuracy because Rock Slide is not very accurate, so we went for Crunch instead, forgetting that it could of course heal. Critical Flamethrower, even though it's not very effective, did knock it out because of also the Nasty Plot as well, which didn't help matters. So next we send out Dog. I think it's because of Flash Fire and also the fact that Solar Beam would barely dole out any damage to another fire type. We used Thunder Fang on it because its other moves aren't very good either. It's now double Nasty Plotted, so we're very worried at this point. But the Sunlight just faded, so it takes 2 turns to use even Solar Beam now, and that's the only move it can use on us. It did out quite a bit, but not quite enough to totally cripple us. So Dog goes down. Next up we have Bat. I think again we're going for the mentality of Bat will outspeed it, so we'll just use a quick move that'll knock it out, and that's exactly what happened. So Ninetales goes down. Altaria's next. This one we were quite worried about because we thought that, because I think both our Pokemon were weak to some of its moves, but I think we just went for it anyway. And also we couldn't really hit hard with a super effective move because Haxorus was down, and we didn't really think we could get it back up very easily, but we had nothing to worry about because as you can see it was a bit of a pushover. Just kept using Steel Wing and other moves that weren't very effective against a Bird. We just kept going for the sort of Brave Bird combination and healing where appropriate, which we managed to get on with and do. Dragon Claw also barely hit anything, so this Altaria was nothing really to worry about. I think we were debating whether to go for which move to go for, and decided instead to go for another Hone Claws. Obviously, Dragon Dance can be potentially very lethal if you let it use too many or use it in the wrong time, which we didn't do. We managed to get it done. We hone clawed a few times in the Altaria fight in anticipation of Togekiss. It's probably just as annoying, maybe a bit less annoying than the first time we battled it. But we've got a good solid steel type that can resist all its moves. And it's 60% chance to flinch, so we're just hoping for that 40% chance to get a Steel Wing in, a super effective one, enhanced by Hone Claws, and really hit a lot of HP off it, just like there. So that's what we were sort of going for. Unfortunately, it uses full restore, so we have to do it again, which we managed to do. And because it used full restore, it didn't have a chance to flinch us. Happens once again. Just using all our full restores now at this point, getting pretty desperate. We flinch again. And so literally the rest of this battle is just healing after a certain point and just hoping that the flinch chance the RNG will be in our favour for flinching in that 40% margin, which we're not very lucky for a while, but then eventually we get it. We knock out Togekiss and the battle is over. So that's Mila defeated, she becomes unpossessed. And then we have to then take on the third person, who I believe is Mark Plank, but it might be Roderick. I think it is Mark Plank, because that's the order that you face him in the storyline. This chap comes up who's got a Go-Goat, and he's also got a Ariados as well. Pretty easy compared to the fights that we're doing at other points of this video. So that's the sort of mentality there. And yes, it is Mark Plank is the last one. So he'll fight you. So first he has Hitmonlee, just like the first time. I came up with him, and I taught Lilypad Protect to protect from the high jump kick, and then it went and hit itself for half HP, and that's exactly what happened. Then I thought we'd be able to tank one. I was sorely mistaken, and it knocks Lilypad clean out, so now we have to deal with it the old-fashioned way. I thought Hattie, because it resists pretty much all of its moves, and we managed to resist an easy Mach Punch and knock it out with Psychic. Leveling us up in the process. I thought no to Healing Wish, because it's very, very situational, and Hattie's moveset's pretty decent already, what with me teaching it Charm instead of Play Nice. Sends out Aegislash. We didn't have Dog the first time Aegislash was there, but we do this time, and that's why I decided to go for a Flamethrower. Shadow Sneak hits barely anything, and Flamethrower knocks it out from there. We didn't need to worry about the Abalone because we weren't using a ground type move. We replace Bite with Crunch, although we prefer the power, even though we don't get the flinch chance anymore. Araquanid. We figure out that Bird's probably the best choice for that, because once again its moves barely touch Bird at all, and it's weak to flying, which Bird has the Brave Bird as well. And we decided to just straight up use it in case it does anything tricky, or in case Liquidation hits a bit too hard. It did hit quite hard, but not hard enough, and we managed to Brave Bird, but Mark has a master plan, heals it, and the Brave Bird recoil knocks out Bird, so now we have to find another way. We go for the classic method that we've been using in this video, which is just send out a bat when the enemy's at low health, and we hit it with Air Cutter, which fainted it. So that's how we managed to take care of our Araquanid. Next up's a Kanto Persian. And I think we were just sort of working out which one was the best one to use. We don't have any fighting types, and Bird's been knocked out as well, so there's a resistance factor there. I think we just decided to go for raw power by using Dragon Dance first. It's quite fast, is Persian, but I think we just outsped and just went for the Outrage combination. Mark healed it. So we're just sort of hoping for the best. Unfortunately, Confusion got the better of us, combined with Persian's Bite, which knocked out Dragon. We thought, oh, Bat's bulky, it's fast, and it should hopefully get rid of that last bit of HP. Persian uses Screech, which doesn't do anything because it gets knocked out anyway. And that was Persian done. And then Bastia done. And of course, this is the other one where if you pick the different fossil, it'll be different. So if you pick the Skull fossil, it's Bastiodon, but if you pick the Armor fossil back in Yar Island after getting the Pirate Key, it'll be Rampardos, which could be easier or harder depending. Obviously, Bastiodon's more defensive, and it just dealt with Dog there fairly easily as well. So I think we actually had to revive a team member, which I don't like to do in these playthroughs, but we did it anyway because we figured that otherwise we'd just lose. So we used Hattie to sacrifice Hattie to revive and then fully heal Lilypad because of its water type moves. So that's what we ended up doing. Lilypad comes out again for a second chance. and we go for the Bubble Beam, which I'm amazed it's still got at level 58, but hey. Goes for the Rock Slide. Yeah, it's got Quick Claw, so Quick Claw, Iron Head, potential of flinching there, but it doesn't happen to us. And of course, because it's a late game trainer, it's going to use a full Restore just at the last minute. Another Bubble Beam. And we're not worried about Iron Head's flinching because obviously we move first. Bastiodon goes down, and that is Mark Plank dealt with. So they're the first 3 trainers of Queen's Road. In the next video, part 9b, we're going to deal with the last 3 trainers of Queen's Road. So I will see you there, and thank you.